The BJCP guidelines describe American Porter as a substantial malty dark beer with a complex and flavorful dark malt profile. Complex and flavorful. No pressure there then. My name is Martin Keane. I'm taking the Homebrew Challenge to brew 99 beers in 99 weeks. On the menu today is American Porter, and I'm also going to be taking a look at a pH meter so I can test that my mash pH is where I think it is. Now on my Homebrew Challenge I have brewed a porter already. It was an English porter. English porters are one of my favourite dark beer styles going. Really enjoyed it. The difference between English porter and an American porter, in one word, robust. It's more bitter, it's darker, it's drier. The beer I'm going to build today has an original gravity of 1055, so 5.6% ABV. So for the ingredients, in my grist I'm using 2-row malt at 61%. And Munich Malt at 18%. I'm also adding Crystal 45, and that will make up about 9% of the grist. Now this is a dark beer. We need some roasted malt. I didn't want to go too crazy with roasted malts here and throw everything in the kitchen sink in, so I'm just sticking with 3 roasted malts, and those are Black Pattern Malt, Carapils and Chocolate Malt, each at 4%. Getting your pH right during the mash can really help make sure that you get a consistent conversion and good brewhouse efficiency numbers. And I used to have a pH meter, but then I kind of left it out. It got dry, I threw it away. And since then, I've just been using Beersmith to estimate what my pH should be. And if the pH is a little bit high, I'm aiming typically for about 5.2. So if it's above that in Beersmith's estimation, I have been adding some lactic acid. But this is all being completely theoretical because I didn't have a pH meter to check anything. So I have a new pH meter that I found on Amazon, and I want to give this a go today to see what my actual mash pH is compared to what Beersmith is telling me, and also to be able to make adjustments and to see if those adjustments actually worked. Now, when it comes to a pH meter, there is a certain amount of care that needs to be taken, care that I didn't so much take with the last pH meter. But there's 2 things you really need to consider. One is calibrating the pH meter out of the box, and second is to store it in a way that's going to keep it working good. So let's open this guy up and work on the first task, which is the calibration. So in here we've got the pH meter itself, and then there is also a couple of solutions, a pH 4 and pH 7 solution, which we're going to use with the calibration. There's also a little strap included here and a nice laminated card with some instructions on what to do. This is the pH meter itself. It comes with 4 AAA batteries, which I can just access from the top here. So that's nice and easy to change. The previous pH meter I had used some kind of specialized batteries, which were a pain when they finally gave out. The other thing I noticed is I haven't opened this up yet, but you can see there's a little bit of liquid here in the fill, and it does recommend in the instructions that you do keep this wet. So the instructions tell me to gently stir this in the calibration solution and then long press to enter the calibration mode. Okay, that says cal. We've now calibrated to 7.0, so without any calibration it thought that this buffer solution was 6.9. Okay, now there is a second point calibration, a 2-point calibration that you can do, which is with this 4.0 buffer solution. As far as storage goes, it does recommend that you dry this off before storing it, and then you put a little bit of liquid in here up to the fill line to just make sure that it doesn't run dry. And I did see online that people were recommending, instead of using tap water or distilled water to store it, that you can actually get some dedicated solution. That's what I have here. This is storage solution for the pH meter. So I'm going to be pouring that up to the fill line and storing it in the solution, and hopefully I will have a pH meter that will last me a bit longer than the other one did. Okay, so I'm calibrated, I'm ready to go. Let's try this out in the mash. And that's given me a pH reading of 5.1. That is right where I want it to be. Now, typically when you are mashing with some darker grains, then the pH is generally a bit lower and you have to do less with it. If this were a lighter beer, then I might need to have added some lactic acid. But I will just keep an eye on this throughout the mash and check that I am within my pH. If it starts to creep up for whatever reason, then I would add some lactic acid. But it's nice to know that I'm where I should be. So we are looking at a bit of a hoppier beer than I made with the English Porter. I'm looking for an IBU around 33. How I will get there is I'm going to use, in a 5-gallon batch, I would use 1 ounce of Cascade hops. These are going to go in at the start of the boil. And then with 10 minutes to go, that is where I'm adding some flavor and aroma. And I'm getting that through 1 ounce each of Willamette and East Kent Golding. Gravity came in at 1054. For the yeast, I'm going to add Wyeast 1028. That's London ale yeast. Yes, it's a British yeast going into an American porter, but I think you really can't go wrong with this yeast when it comes to robust dark beers. Okay, I'm going to ferment at 68 Fahrenheit, 20 Celsius, then give it a taste. Time to taste the American Porter. Everything you need for the recipe for this is in the description, and if you want to buy a recipe kit, you can get that from Atlantic Brew Supply. Just check out the link. So, Lauren, let's take a look at our American Porter. Pretty dark.
Mm-hmm. It's extremely dark, but if you look really, really close, do you see like there's a little bit of like mahogany?
Oh,
yeah.
It's not black, is it?
It's not completely black.
There's
no.
There's
a tint of like crimson.
Yeah. Head retention.
Awful.
Terrible. When you poured these, they had a nice foamy head. That's all disappeared. Mm-hmm. Fair enough. Okay. How about the aroma? Oh, smells good.
Well, when I think of porter, I think it's like really like thick and velvety smell and like kind of heavy. But this doesn't really smell that heavy to me.
No, it's getting a sort of a light roastiness, I would say.
Yeah, I'd say like a toasty, roasty. Mm-hmm. Like it's very subtle though. Mm-hmm. And I would have expected it to be like, bam.
To me, it smells quite similar to dry Irish stout. Actually, it is, as you say, not overpowering, but definitely a nice roasty smell to it.
Yeah.
All right, I'm quite excited to try this one. See what we think. Okay. Quite pronounced roasty character, but there is also something that's a little bit different to the English porter that we brewed, and I think that really all comes down to the fact there's more hops in this.
Okay.
And definitely in the finish of the beer, I am getting a bit of bitterness, bit of hop flavour to it, which wasn't present in the English one.
Yeah, I can Yeah, I can taste a little bit of the bitter with like the mouthfeel, like the aftertaste.
It's quite an interesting combination actually, because I'm pretty used to just drinking English porters, English stouts, Irish stouts, that sort of thing. So when you start adding in a little bit of hop bitterness at the end of it, no hop aroma, we
No.
neither of us picked up on that, but a bit of hop bitterness as well. I think that makes for quite an interesting take on porter. Now we're staying in the dark category just for a little bit. We've got 2 more dark beers to come, and next week's beer I'm going to be interested to compare to this week's beer. It's also American, it's also a little bit more hop forward, it's also a dark beer, so we'll try that one next week. But for now, Lauren,
Cheers!
cheers!